and welcome back to Ron Talks Tabletop Podcast, Super Show Sunday, a series where I do interviews and other things related to a recent favorite game of mine, Super Show the card game. Today I have another special guest on here to have a conversation with. Please introduce yourself.
Well, like yourself, my name is also Ron. I'm known to the Super Show community as Split, everybody's favorite clown, or at least the one that they hate to love and love to hate. I'm also probably the foremost creator of new things in the Super Show recently. But yeah, it's just it's awesome to be here. I thank you for inviting me, and I can't wait to see how this goes.
This is great. I was excited to talk to you about those creative projects, but first, we got a couple of little questions that I like to ask just to get to know you and like your relationship to Super Show and all that kind of stuff. Like, for example, when and how did you get into Super Show?
All right, so 2 years ago, a couple of friends of mine that are local players out with at the time it was the CCW, City of Championship Wrestling. They had contacted me, told me about this game, and I had actually known them from when I worked at a haunted house. I actually still work there. They wanted me to come and play this game, and I had no intention of ever playing a card game. I'm not a big tabletop game person, just always super busy doing a million other things. And they said, "Hey, come on down." I actually started by making apparel for their group that was called the Firing Squad. So I had made designs, t-shirts, hoodies, all kinds of things. And I was just kind of going to be in the game as that guy who created things here and sent them out to people. And one day I went over to the Oracle's house, and the Oracle said to me, "Hey, sit down and play this." And I played it once, and a lot of money and a lot of time later, I'm hooked.
Oh, okay. So aren't the Oracle and their family located in Ohio?
So the Oracle is actually located in Pennsylvania, and her
Okay.
husband is located in Ohio, but they actually do everything for the Rust Belt because CCW has kind of taken a step back. We kind of had some people that left, some people that their jobs changed, like the big guy. He's super busy and he was our GM. So we kind of took a step back. I'm still the heavyweight champion for CCW, although I can't tell you the last time I defended. Hopefully we can revive it. I'm thinking about maybe trying to take it as an online league here in the next couple of months.
Okay. Cool. So you've been into the game for a couple of years, was creating stuff. I know you're still creating stuff, but now that you've been into it and been really enjoying it, can you tell me what are some of your favorite things about the game and like what are some of your personal highlights?
Okay, so hands down, my favorite thing about this game is the community. The game itself, to me, always takes a back seat to the relationships that I've created. Me and Eddie Fury, or Doug, however we want to talk about him tonight. He is my mentor when I joined the Freak Show when I first started. I ran the Freak Show for a little bit when Pat Mulligan took a step back so he could do some other things. And then I kind of moved over, and now I'm with Star Maker Productions. But just all the relationships across the board, I don't think I've had a negative relationship with anybody in this community. So that's probably my most favorite thing. And then second to that is, anytime my ugly mug shows up on a card somewhere, like that always seems to make me happy. So
Right, right. I don't know, but like, do you have an idea about how many cards that Split appears on in the game?
so the very first card that Split appeared on was called Getting Over. So from there, I would say most of which I think I commissioned. So you'd think I'd have an actual number, but I'm probably on somewhere between 10 and 15 cards at this point.
Okay.
It may actually be slightly more than that, but I'll say conservatively probably 10 to 15.
Got it. And I know you have a competitor in the game, Split, which is pretty good.
So the story behind Split is actually a character that came from another facet of life. I was part of and I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're called eFeds. So effectively an online wrestling simulation that you are a character and you come out and cut promos, and then they decide who wins based upon who does the best promo. They make a story up, pretend that you had a match. And for about 2 years before I joined the Super Show, that's what I did. So when I joined the Super Show, I was like, okay, I want to get my character into the game. 4 kids and a wife. I couldn't afford it. So I was like, the only way for me to do this is win it. And at some point, Bob Dunn, who is by far the most generous and gracious person in this game, he ran a tournament. And the tournament rules were you had to play plus you could promo. If you got eliminated because of your play, your promos could effectively carry you through to the end. So I was like, listen, I'm not the greatest player of this game, but I'm definitely the guy who can out promo just about anybody, with the exception of a few people that I think are on par, if not better than me. So made it to the semifinals. Me and Nick Nimble, we were in a triad match, and we had made a decision that as long as one of us won, that was the goal. I helped put him over, and so I was out essentially. But I was like, you know what, I'm not done. So I kept promoing at the expense of Arcade Addict Aaron, who is now getting his character in the game. He cut his winning promo, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to one up this. So I screenshotted his promo and then did a promo where I cut into his video game feed and pretty much said, hey, like, I didn't actually lose the match. So why can't I win? And ultimately, because I've got a bigger mouth and some pretty decent video editing skills, I ended up winning my character into the game that time.
Nice. I have to ask about this thing that you just dropped that I never heard of because I'm not as big of a wrestling fan as some are. I did not know that like e-fed was a thing, so it sounds like it sounds pretty neat. Can you tell me a little
Okay.
bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So my journey into e-fetting was an absolute accident. A buddy of mine and I have an actual clown group, which is where Split comes from. We were approached by a guy who said, "Hey, I run this thing called an e-fed. It's effectively scripted wrestling, and you cut a promo, your opponent cuts a promo, then you cut a match promo, and then it's either judged based upon who does better, or it's predetermined, and we do a storyline." So I was like, yeah, sure. Like it is the pandemic. I wasn't doing anything. I spent more time in my basement than I did anything else. So I was like, all right, let's do it. A buddy of mine, his name's Will, but his clown name is Bobo. We did a tag team thing for a long time until he decided he didn't want to be in it anymore. And so then I ran with this eFed for probably 2 years. I helped do the writing for it. I did commentary for it. Um, Effectively finally stepped away from it just because Super Show got real busy. Life came back into, focus with COVID going away, or at least not being as prevalent. I still talk to them. I still work with the groups a little bit. The one that I was involved with was called Heresy, and I'm still friends with the guy who owns it and runs it. But effectively, I don't perform as much as I used to. Although there is a chance that I may rejoin and help them get their new fed off the ground, which is called Blasphemy.
That's really cool. I gotta tell one of my friends about it, like a diehard wrestling fan. It might be something he'd be interested in getting into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. As I was saying before, I've been in Super Show for 6 months, and like you are one of the best promos in the community. What do you think your secret is?
2 years in eFeds. Well, and being comfortable with the persona that I use isn't just split. Like Split's not just this clown persona that I use. It's something that I've been doing for years. I was the clown at the haunted house. I transitioned that into eFed. I transitioned that real easily over to Super Show. So it's me. Yeah, and I think that that's the best gimmicks are when you are true to you and who you are. It's hard to come in and pretend to be something that you don't know how to be. That I think that's what worked for me was, it was something that was already there and I was just kind of able to expand on it.
Yeah, I'm feeling that because I just started doing promos, kind of gimmick persona, and it is as much of me as I can put into that, but still be a performer. Cool, cool. So as we've alluded to this before, but I think one of the big things that one of the major reasons I brought you on is to talk about your creative projects. So can you tell me what kind of creative projects do you do?
So let me tell you a quick story. When I first got into the Super Show, I had made a playmat that had the SRG logo on it, had some steel chairs. I thought it was really cool, and I went onto the trading site and I put this mat up, and I was going to sell it. The owner of Super Show, Steve Resk, messaged me, and he was like, "Hey, listen, you can't sell that." And I was like, "Well, why?" He said, "Because it's got our logo on it." And so as someone who makes things and sells them, I regularly use people's logos, but because I'm not a big conglomerate and I'm not making thousands of dollars, nobody seems to care. But Steve reached out to me. He said, you can't use this. And I was like, okay, no biggie. I'll take it apart. I'll get rid of it. And he said, no, he's like, send it to me. I'll buy it off. So he actually bought my first playmat off of me. I think that was kind of what hooked me into the Super Show. But I've gone from playmats to I actually have a mask making company that I've spearheaded with a friend of mine. We actually just made Edo Ortiz's new the friend mask. So if you're part of the Super Show, you've seen that. If not, you got to see that because it turned out really cool. I've done costumes, I've done t-shirts, I mean, come on, you were part of the reason that the newest trend is out. I mean, that them D12 dice, some of the biggest sales in Super Show. I mean, that was all you,
Hashtag
brother.
hashtag game changer.
Yes, and hands down, the D12 dice have been a game changer. Everyone loves them and hates them all at the same time, and I
It's
think that
amazing.
that's what makes them great.
Yep.
And that was all you. I would have never thought to do a D12, and you did. And I mean, I thank you. I don't know how else to say that, but that was you. And I think that that's the best part about being a creator is that I don't always have to be the mind behind it. I can listen to what people are saying and what they want and what they're looking for, and I can make it a reality.
Yeah, dude, I was so happy with those dice. What other kind of creative projects? Because I know you do more than that.
So most recently, I've been working with the SRG boss directly. We've done beanie caps, we've done new t-shirts, we've done ring crew gear for the guys that are going to be working the booths at the different conventions, pretty much anything. And what's nice is that I'm not pigeonholed to just doing things for SRG. I've got people that come to me for other tabletop games when they have like factions in other games and they want things made. So I mean, I essentially can pretty much put anything on a piece of cloth that you could need, as long as I have a high enough quality picture. It's gotten to the point where I wish I could turn it into a full-time business. There are still some things that would block me from doing that. As long as I can continue to provide for the communities, as a whole, no matter what community that is. It's just primarily Super Show right now, and I've done some stuff for some D&D people. To make other people happy is what makes me happy.
Cool. Aside from your customers, where else do you find inspiration for your creative ideas?
For my masks in particular, my coworker he's got an amazing mind. He's somebody who we have a notebook full of faces that we want to turn into reality. And I help do I'm more of a finish person when it comes to the masks. I do the paint and the hair and the things like that. He does the sculpting. And without him, there's no mask company. I mean, really anywhere. I mean, I can walk down the street and see something and say, oh my goodness, this would be an awesome idea. I have some things that I'd like to do in the future. There was just somebody who posted a license plate cover for their car that had something on it, and I was like, oh man, it would be cool if we could find a way to do Super Show license plate covers. I did Christmas ornaments for people's Christmas trees. I mean, really, anything that people want, I try to find a way to do. And if I can't do it, I know somebody who can.
Cool. I'm assuming you do logos.
So I do logos. I will tell you that there are other people in the Super Show community whose logo ability is far and beyond what I can do. I have absolutely no problem doing things, but I would defer a lot of times to Brian Schmidt and Larry Tiblis. Larry has done so many amazing logos for me, and also Cheshire. I mean, Cheshire did my Split logo, and I absolutely love it. It's going to be on the new Split competitor that's coming out. It's going to be a reskin in the Halloween deck at some point. We're switching up the logo completely. I can do them. I like to do them, but there are people that are heads and tails better than me, and I'm happy to put them out there.
Okay, okay. But you can certainly put a logo on a playmat
Oh yeah,
or
yeah, absolutely. If
other stuff, right?
I've done it before. Our Faction Wars group did a Star Maker production shirt. So the underneath the hoodie that I'm currently wearing is our Star Maker production logo, and on the back I did a big 5 that says Faction Wars on it for this year's Faction Wars for
Okay.
us. I make tokens for the game that are custom for our in particular group. Evie Fresh messaged me and was like, "Hey, I want these tokens." So it effectively has stars with each of the people that play each skill on that star. So that turned out really cool. I did something like that for Chris Pagillo last year for his faction team. I did it for the Freak Show last year as well. So yeah, like I said, anything that somebody wants, I try to find a way to accommodate.
Cool. I have some other things that I'd like to get done. I have ideas of cooking. I got some things to work on. I love spending my money in the community, giving someone in the community the opportunity to create stuff for me. It makes it a little bit more personal. And it also helps those people out rather than going out and getting who knows who to do stuff for me. So I love having you and people like you in the community to do stuff for us. But it can't be like easy all the time, right? Like there's got to be some challenges to it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things there, and like I said, there are times where people will come to me and say, "Hey, this is what I want," and if it's something that I either, and very rarely do I say I don't have the time. I mean, I'm someone who doesn't sleep a whole lot, so I'll find the time. But if it's something that's outside of my ability levels, I'll defer to somebody else, or I will find out how or who can do it for them at a reasonable price. Again, I'm not in this to get rich. I'm here to have a service for people so that they can have things like you said that make them happy and something that's theirs, not something that everybody else has to have.
Right. What is next for you, your little creative side business or whatever?
So nothing is ironclad just yet. So I'm actually the first thing is that the easiest thing that I can tell you I'm doing is I'm working on getting a hat press. The goal is to be able to make baseball caps that have people's logos on them if they want them. Also to help get some Supershow SRG stuff out that the community has kind of been screaming for, and we just haven't been able to do it because hats are expensive. I never realized how expensive hats were until I decided that I wanted to be involved in them. So that's on the forefront of things that are going to happen. Hopefully in a relatively short time frame, as soon as I find my new setup space. And then the other thing is I've been in talks with the SRG boss about potentially taking this from being just a super show business into being a drop shipping printing business where I can do pretty much anything, and we will have a website that'll have like our different logos. You can also order custom things. It hasn't come to fruition yet. We've had several conversations about it. I'm still hopeful that we'll get to that point at some point in the near future. That man he's the busiest person that I've ever met.
Yep.
So like I don't know how he has time to communicate with the legions of people that message him on a daily basis, but I can tell you that anytime I've dropped him a line, he gets back to me in relatively short order. For that, I appreciate Steve Resk more than just about anyone.
That dude doesn't sleep.
He does, but I think it's like me. It's only like 2 or 3 hours a night, maybe.
Yeah. Well, cool. So I have one more question for you, and I like to ask my interviewees this question because I almost always get something fascinating out of it. So, what is something interesting about you that people may not know about?
I actually, when I was 13, was in a Broadway musical. So I live in Pittsburgh, and our big stage is called the Benedum Center. And I'd won a scholarship to be part of what's called the CLO, the Civic Light Opera. And can't dance, 100% can't dance, but I can sing and I can sway back and forward and I can act a little bit. I was on stage for the musical Bye Bye Birdie, the off Broadway production, and met Rue McClanahan, who was one of the Golden Girls.
Right.
And then music is kind of what has gotten me through everything, like the highs, the lows, everything. So I guess that would be it. And I guess on top of that, the only other thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I actually was a college football player. I played Division III NAIA football at a local college in Beaver County. I had a scholarship to play. I had some offers to play over in Italy afterwards, and decided to get married and have kids instead. I was a pretty decent football player for a long time.
Wow.
I was smaller, so I didn't get to go, a whole lot further than where I went. But
Got it. Didn't know that about you. That's certainly not floating around in the community. And I just learned about the whole singing thing. Yeah, cool. So you have any like last plugs?
I mean, again, what I would say is to everybody, do what makes you happy. Make sure that if you're in any community, in particular the Super Show, you're doing it because it's something that you love to do, and make sure that you get to know everybody, because it's the person that you may not be talking to, the person that you may not have taken a couple of minutes to get to know, that may become your best friend. And I've definitely learned that. So, um, you know, just make sure that sometimes step out of your comfort zone, and I think you'll find something that's pretty amazing, especially in the Super Show community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime, if you ever need me again, you know how to get in touch with me.
Sure will. All righty, folks. Until next time, See you later.